Shabbat Shalom, a good Erev Shabbat. You know, over the last few years, I've been honored to share words of Torah every Shabbat at Chabad Jewish Center of Olympia in our sermon. Unfortunately, due to the ongoing health crisis, I haven't had the pleasure of delivering a sermon. I'd like to share a story and some inspirational thoughts with you in honor of Shabbat instead. The story takes us to Brooklyn, New York. Right before Yom Kippur, the Rabbi had a practice of giving out sweet honey cake right before Yom Kippur began. Thousands would line up to receive a blessing for a sweet new year and some honey cake from the Rebbe. There was a chassid, his name was Gershon. He was a newspaper publisher who got unexpectedly hospitalized right before the high holidays that year. And he sent his son, a young man named Simon, to ask the Rebbe for a blessing on his behalf. And the Rebbe blessed the fellow who was hospitalized, and the Rebbe gave some honey cake to be passed on to him. And then the Rebbe tells this young man to pass on to his father. With a smile, the Rebbe says that, tell your father when he'll complete the mission that God put him into the hospital for, God will let him out of there. So the young man goes back to his father, passes on the message. Over the next few days, his father began to schmooze with patients, with doctors, with nurses that he came in contact with while he was in the hospital, and he began to inquire about their spiritual well-being and began to share words of Torah and look for different ways that he could inspire them. And shortly thereafter, he was released and had a full recovery. Years and years later, the family of this fellow who was in the hospital meets the doctor that one of the doctors whom this fellow had been treated by. And he says, remember when you were in the hospital and you started sharing these words of inspiration? So I've got to tell you, that actually made a big difference for me. I had grown up knowing that I was Jewish, but with very little Jewish practice, and I wasn't so familiar with my Jewish identity. And after you spoke to me, it inspired me to make big changes in his life, and he actually shared with him the different changes in lifestyle and additional observances that he had taken on as a result of these conversations. It took many years for them to see it, but they got to see a little inkling of perhaps the master plan why he had to end up in the hospital so unexpectedly before the high holidays that year. I love this story. We all are in an unexpected time. For so many of us, we had plans, we have a structure, we think that things will go a certain way, and then all of a sudden we have a crisis. And Judaism and the Rebbe's unique outlook teaches us that when we are in a place that we weren't expecting to be, we can perhaps realize that this is not a setback, but it's actually part of our mission. There's something that we were meant to accomplish. Each and every one of us that's in this world has a critical and unique mission that only we can accomplish. And as we go throughout life, we look for ways to make a positive difference, and that's the way we accomplish our mission, our divine mission here in this world. But sometimes there are experiences that creep up on us that we weren't expecting. And the Rebbe's unique look reminded us that they too are opportunities for us to make a difference, to look for ways to bring more positivity, inspire others. They're a unique spiritual opportunity that we would have otherwise never had. So now, as we are all in such a very different place than we were expecting to be, many of us are at home, many of us are not doing what we were expecting to be, perhaps this Shabbat is a great opportunity to look for what is it that we can do to make it more meaningful for us, something that will have a lasting impact on our Jewish pride, our Jewish observance, something that will inspire us. Maybe we'll celebrate a little more of Shabbat this week. Let's look for more ways to complete our mission so we can get through this health crisis quicker and continue making this world a healthier, safer, and sweeter place. I want to wish each and every one of you a healthy and sweet and joyous Shabbat. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Good Shabbos.